They say success changes people, but they never tell you it can destroy the ones who helped build you. I met Coach Miller when I was 16, a scrawny kid from Dayton with a busted shoulder and more anger than discipline. He saw something in me no one else did, not even me. He used to say, "Talent gets you noticed, character keeps you there." For years, that line ran through my head every time I tied my cleats, every time I stepped onto the field. By 24, I was on the verge of everything we'd worked for: a shot at the majors, a real contract, national coverage, my face on ESPN, and at every step he was there, guiding me, pushing me, grounding me. He wasn't just my coach, he was family, until he wasn't. The first time I introduced him to Emily, it was at a post-game dinner in Chicago. She was sitting across from him, shy at first, tucking her hair behind her ear the way she always did when she felt nervous. Coach asked her questions about her work, her art degree, her family. He laughed, that loud, confident laugh that made everyone else feel smaller in the room. I didn't think much of it. He had that charm. People liked him. But as the season went on, something shifted. Emily started mentioning him in casual conversation. "Coach said your shoulder looks better. Coach thinks you should take more rest days. Coach said you're too hard on yourself." It wasn't what she said, it was the way she said it, like he knew me better than I knew myself. I brushed it off. Paranoia, pressure. My head was already spinning from training, media, sponsors, and I trusted him with everything: my game, my future, my health. But one night after practice, I walked into his office to grab a water bottle I'd left behind. The lights were dim. His phone buzzed on the desk. A message flashed across the screen. "Emily, can't wait to see you tomorrow." For a second, I thought maybe it was another Emily, a sister, a friend, a coincidence. But the heart wrecked me. I picked up the phone. The wallpaper was of the team, me front and center. And the message app? It wasn't new. There were weeks of texts, photos, late-night confessions, inside jokes, stuff you don't say to someone you call coach. My hands went numb. I dropped the phone just as he walked in. He froze when he saw my face. "You went through my phone?" he asked, voice low. "You went through my life," I said. For a long time, neither of us said anything, just silence, thick enough to choke on. He stepped forward, calm, composed, the same way he always was when he gave locker room speeches about loyalty, discipline, and respect. "It just happened, Tyler," he said. "You were gone a lot. She needed someone to talk to." I laughed, bitter, ugly. "Someone to talk to? Is that what you call it?" He didn't answer. That silence was worse than any punch could have been. I walked out of that office and straight into the locker room. My teammates stared. They didn't know yet, but they would. Because betrayal doesn't stay private in sports. It bleeds into every practice, every game, every glance. And for the first time in my career, I didn't want to win. I just wanted out. The morning after I found those messages, the world didn't end. It just slowed down. The sunlight came through my blinds like normal. My phone buzzed with notifications like normal. But everything felt wrong. Emily hadn't called. Coach hadn't texted. The silence was their confession. By noon, I drove to her apartment. The door was unlocked, a bad habit of hers. I stepped in and saw a duffel bag on the couch. Her shoes were gone. So was her favorite denim jacket. She knew I knew. There wasn't a note. Just a framed photo of us from last year's championship, flipped face down on the coffee table. That hurt worse than anything she could have written. I called my best friend from the team, Marcus. He answered on the second ring. "You okay, man? Coach said you missed morning drills." "Yeah," I said. "About that. Don't believe a word that man says." "Ty, what's going on?" I told him. Everything. The texts, the look on Coach's face, the silence. Marcus didn't interrupt once. When I finished, He just exhaled and said, "Damn, I thought he was like your second dad." "Yeah," I said. "Me too." He paused. "You gonna tell management?" I didn't answer, because part of me still didn't know. This wasn't just betrayal, it was suicide for my career if it got out wrong. Coach had connections, reputation, friends in high places. I was still just the kid he'd made. If I went after him, they'd say I was emotional, bitter, immature. If I stayed quiet, I'd have to see him every day. Either way, I lost. By Friday, the rumor mill started grinding, whispers in the locker room, half-finished sentences when I walked by. One assistant coach even asked, "You and Miller still good?" I said nothing. The truth was, I wasn't good with anyone. I played like hell that weekend. Missed a pass I could have caught blindfolded. Threw my helmet after the final whistle. Reporters wrote it off as pressure. But pressure didn't make you want to punch the man standing in your corner. Sunday night, he showed up at my apartment. I almost didn't open the door, but curiosity won. He looked exhausted. The confident, polished man I used to idolize now looked ordinary. "Ty, we need to talk," he said. I think we did enough of that. He stepped inside anyway, like he still had the right. "You don't understand what's going on." "Try me." He ran a hand over his face. "It wasn't supposed to happen this way. I didn't plan it. I fought it, I swear. But she came to me. She said you were shutting her out, that you were obsessed with the game." "Don't," I cut him off. "Don't you dare make this about me." He lowered his voice. "I never meant to hurt you." "You did," I said, "and you don't even look sorry." He looked around the room, the trophies, the medals, the framed photo of me and him shaking hands after my first big win. "You're angry now," he said softly, "but one day you'll understand. You'll see I'm still the man who made you who you are." I laughed bitterly. "No, you're the man who taught me what not to become." He left without another word. But the next morning, I got a call from my agent. "Tyler," he said, voice low, "we have a problem. Coach Miller filed a disciplinary complaint. Says you've been unstable, missing practices, acting erratic." My stomach dropped. "You've got to be kidding me." "He's claiming you're emotionally unfit to play. Sponsors are starting to call." I hung up. That's when I realized he wasn't just taking Emily. He was taking everything. You never really know how dirty the game gets until the person who taught you how to play starts fighting against you. Within a week, everything I'd built started crumbling. One sports blog ran a story about tension between star player and veteran coach. Another hinted at personal issues affecting performance. And coach? He stayed quiet. The same man who used to call me son now let reporters chew me apart while he played the role of the calm, patient mentor. He was rewriting the story, and the world was buying it. I could have gone public. I could have told everyone exactly what happened. But I didn't. Not yet. Something in me wanted proof. Real proof. Not gossip. Not screenshots. Something that would make people see what he really was. So I started digging. There were whispers that he'd crossed lines before. An ex-player's sister, a staff member's wife. Nothing that ever stuck. He was too careful, too connected. But the more I looked, the more I realized Emily wasn't the first. And I wasn't the first to lose everything because of him. Marcus helped me. He started asking quiet questions around the league, talking to old assistants, retired players, anyone who'd ever worked under Miller. 2 nights later, he called me at 1 a.m. "Check your email," he said. In my inbox was a forwarded message from a former player named Brandon Hale, played under Miller years before me. The message was short, but it hit like a hammer. He did the same thing to me. Different girl, same lies. I tried to go public. He crushed me. "If you're smart, you'll record everything." Attached was a voice memo. Coach's voice. Calm, confident, unmistakable. You think you can play without me? I made you. You'll be nothing once I'm done. I played it 3 times just to make sure it was real. Now I had him. The next morning, I walked straight into the GM's office. He looked up from his desk, surprised. "Tyler, what's going on?" I dropped my phone on the table and hit play. Coach's voice filled the room, cold and arrogant. When it ended, the GM just sat there, stunned. "Where did you get this?" "From someone who learned the hard way," I said. He nodded slowly. "We'll handle this. You keep your head down. No interviews, no statements. Let us do our job." But I knew better. People like Coach Miller didn't go down quietly. And I wasn't done yet. That night, I got a text from an unknown number. "Meet me at the field. Midnight, alone." I didn't need to ask who it was. Coach loved his theatrics. The stadium was empty when I arrived, just the hum of lights and the echo of my footsteps on the turf. He was standing at midfield, hands in his pockets, the same spot where he'd once hugged me after our first championship. "You shouldn't have gone digging," he said. "You shouldn't have gone near her," I shot back. He smiled, the kind of smile that doesn't reach the eyes. "You think you can beat me at this game? You're still a kid, Tyler. You're angry, reckless, emotional. I'm the adult in the room." I took a step closer. Adults don't steal from their own family. Something flickered in his face. Shame, maybe, or guilt. "I gave you everything," he said, "and you threw it away for a girl who never loved you." "That's where you're wrong," I said quietly. "You're the one who threw it away. I'm just done pretending you were ever my family." The next morning, the recording hit the press. Someone, maybe Marcus, maybe the GM, leaked it. By noon, every sports outlet in the country had it on repeat. "Star coach threatens player in private recording." He was suspended within hours. An internal investigation followed. Sponsors pulled out. The headlines didn't stop for weeks. And Emily? She reached out once. A single text. I didn't know what he was capable of. "I'm sorry." I stared at it for a long time before deleting it. Because some things don't need closure. They just need to end. They suspended him on a Friday. By Monday morning, every sports channel in the country had the same footage on loop. Coach Miller leaving the training facility, flanked by reporters shouting questions he refused to answer. His face looked pale under the camera lights, his eyes hard and distant. For the first time since I'd met him, he didn't look invincible. I should have felt satisfied, vindicated even, but I didn't. All I felt was tired. Because when someone you looked up to betrays you, winning doesn't feel like victory. It feels like cleanup. The league launched an investigation. They wanted statements, documents, phone logs. I gave them everything. I didn't hold back this time. A few other players came forward too. Old names I hadn't heard in years. Guys who'd left the sport quietly, careers unfinished, confidence shattered. Miller hadn't just hurt me. He'd been doing it for decades, just smart enough to hide the wreckage. The higher-ups called it a pattern of ethical violations. I called it what it was. Manipulation dressed as mentorship. Emily stayed out of the spotlight. I figured she would. The tabloids still tried to drag her name into it, painting her as the woman at the center of the scandal. But I never talked about her publicly. I wasn't going to be like him, using someone else's pain to build my own story. She made her choice. I made mine. And mine was to move forward. The first day back at the stadium felt strange. The field was the same. The smell of turf, the weight of the air, the echo of cleats, all unchanged, but everything else had shifted. Marcus jogged up beside me. "You good?" I nodded. "Getting there." He grinned. "You're up for captain this season. You know that, right?" "Yeah," I said quietly. "Guess we'll see if I've got the character to keep it." He gave me a look that said, "You already do." A few weeks later, I got a letter from Miller. No return address. Just my name, typed on the envelope. Inside, one page. I made mistakes. I let the game become my life, and I forgot what it meant to teach, not take. You deserved better. Whatever happens next, make sure you stay the man I couldn't be. No apology could fix what he'd done. But maybe for the first time, he understood it. I folded the letter, put it in a drawer, and went to practice. The season started with a win. It wasn't perfect, nothing ever is. But when the final whistle blew, I didn't look toward the stands like I used to. I didn't need approval. I didn't need validation. I'd already found what I was missing. Because the truth was, Miller didn't make me. He sharpened me. He tested me. And when he betrayed me, he showed me exactly what I wasn't going to become. That was his final lesson. He just didn't know it. Some people build you up. Some people break you down. And sometimes the same person does both. But in the end, you decide which parts to keep.